Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ian. With me is Mac, and today we are doing episode one of a new little side situation we're going to call Fact Checkers. It's not going to be there's going to be a little bit of humor, unlike what normally we're trying to put out, but this is mostly we're going to be going everything from political stuff to like current world events, be it in the US, outside the US, just all that kind of thing, right? But we're going to get as much information as we can. We're going to read off some news articles in relation to it, and we're going to go ahead and get out every piece of information we have to you guys. That way, yeah, you're hearing it from what our take on it, on the situation is, regardless of what's going on. So today we got two topics. The first one is the most recent, and it is the most serious of them. And that is the event that happened on the 10th of September 2025. Mac.
The assassination of Charlie Kirk. No matter what you guys think on either side of the spectrum, I do want to let you know that neither me nor Ian are political people. But however, we will be putting in our input on our personal thoughts, and we're also going to make sure that we have the right amount of information for anybody who isn't aware of anything that's going on, to make sure that you guys get the right information, unlike some of the other places.
Now, as Max said, we're not really political people, right? So yeah, we would like to have like your guys' input as to like what your thoughts on the matter is. But the one thing we would like to ask ahead of time is don't come after us for having our opinion. We're willing to talk about it and discuss it. Just this that whole situation of you attacking somebody for their different opinion from yours, that's the whole thing that got, unfortunately, it's what Charlie Kirk got himself into that mess. Does somebody deserve to have somebody disagree? That's a given. Even if they don't deserve it, everybody's going to have their own opinion on different matters. That's just a given that somebody's going to differ. And just hell, with what he was doing, sitting down, having a discussion, he didn't really yell at anybody during the whole, every single one of the videos I've seen of his discussions. He's not yelling at anybody. He's just sitting there talking. And yeah, he has had a lot more research than what 90% of these people had that were debating with him. But the definition of a debate, not like a Webster's dictionary, if you go into a debate not having the ability to change your mind or having your mind changed, you're not debating. You're just arguing. So,
And coming from somebody who has taken debate in school, and and has also ended up debating somebody with that was it with the ideas of everything that I have put into place versus somebody else who thinks and acts and believes in something different from me. I do want to let you know that there are going to continue being people who are going to pick up the mic that Charlie dropped, and that they're going to continue going to campuses, and they're going to continue debating people. What was it? Regardless of what ended up happening. And one thing that I would definitely end up telling everybody is that if you are going to step up to that mic and you are going to end up debating whoever ends up taking up that mic and taking up that mantle, one thing I would definitely end up recommending to you is that the moment that you get emotions and the lack of mutual respect for the person who you are debating, your entire argument will fall apart before you even started.
yeah, it's one of those like if you can't maintain the pace that you set, the standard you set at the beginning of the debate that you get yourself into, as he said, if you start getting emotional about it, every one of your facts are going to be questioned. Now, if you're going at it, and honestly, it's kind of difficult for most human beings because naturally we're emotional. Now, for men, we are more aggressive and we get like, angry real quick. That's fine. That's a given. But it's any type of emotion. If you push that your emotion into your argument, unless it's like a legitimate like, hey, my argument is to say, hey, I don't want to die when somebody says I want you to die. That's the only argument that you're allowed to have fucking emotions in, because it's like you don't want to die. Honestly, who fucking does want to die?
But so let's head straight into this current predicament that we have found ourselves in. So on September 10th of 2025, during a college event, debate hosted by Charlie Kirk, he was shot down by Tyler Robinson, a age 22-year-old male who went to the University of Utah, and he had shot him with a 30-06 model Mauser bolt action rifle. And for everybody who is not aware or thinks that it was an AR-15 or a automatic rifle, I can promise you it was not. It was a 30-06. It was a 30-06 bolt action rifle Mauser model, and it was an older model, mind you, that he ended up getting from a nearby gun store from the Utah University where he went. First off, in case if anybody ends up asking involving what his motives were or anything along those lines, he was not. Their motives were not exactly labeled. But however, one thing that we could definitely end up understanding was that there were several things involving his background. First off, is that he was the son of a sheriff, and he was the son of a sheriff, and he came from a conservative household. And since the fact that there are a lot of people who think that you come from a conservative household does not mean that you are conservative later. He was an active member of Antifa and in several Discord chats and groups, and active in during the Antifa movement. And on top of all of that, he was also big into the furry community as well. Ian, I see that you're struggling there. Let's just get through this first before we get the jokes rolling.
Yeah.
But on top of all that, if you do think that if he was a trans person, I can confirm that he was not a trans person. But however, his boyfriend was. He lived with 22-year-old. He lived with 22-year-old Lance Twiggs, who was a roommate that lived in the same residence as Robinson. They did and confirmed that they ended up having a relationship. And Lance Twiggs was in the active thought process and movement to turn from man to woman. Now, Ian, during this time, tell me what your thoughts are of the information that I just gave you.
So, thoughts? Who the fuck just goes and decides, hey, I'm just going to shoot this motherfucker just because he's debating people?
So the motives on that are still not clear.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, who the fuck just... Hey, I don't like this guy. I don't like the shit he says. I'm going to go shoot him. Now, mind you, I've got to make a joke here.
Okay.
There was a gentleman that, when the whole situation with, like, back in, what was it? Like, late 2024, with the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. Fucking, there's a YouTuber that I used to watch all those times ago. He posted about it and had specifically used the phrase "retardy Oswald" in reference to Lee Harvey Oswald.
Yeah.
Like, Charlie Kirk wasn't even a political figure. He was just somebody who would go out and cause people to think and get them to understand from a different perspective. As far as I've been aware, all of the controversial questions that he's ever been asked, he wasn't the one to initiate that question. He was just answering a question that somebody had asked him. And it was more along the lines of, when this started first popping up with those controversial questions, it was, what are your thoughts on this situation? And he would just give his answer. And honestly, the way he gave in his answer was he was being truthful. He was being honest. He wasn't being disrespectful. And then you have people that just fucking hated him for it. So they start rage baiting. And it's
the big thing is that everyone who is claiming that he ended up using hate speech in his debates and everything along those lines. First off, one thing I would definitely love to fact check on a lot of things is that, one, fact checking on one. He did not use hate speech. You just hated his speech.
Yep. Does not make it hate speech.
It does not make it hate speech. Which, in case if you are unaware of what the term hate speech means, I will put. I have the definition right here.
Fucking hate speech.
Hate speech refers to offensive discourse targeting a group or individual based in inherent characteristics such as race, religion, or gender, and that may threaten social peace.
Did Charlie Kirk do that? Abso-fucking-lutely not. Anybody who says that he did, honestly, by that definition itself, he did not. Anybody who says differently is probably lying to you just to get under your skin.
Yep.
Like,
but as far as his motives are concerned, let's turn to the bullets that were used and the writing that were on the bullet casings for possible motives on what he ended up could have ended up happening.
This part pisses me the fuck off. This part pisses me off. God damn it.
So there were there were a total of 3 rounds that he ended up having. So one of the rounds that was not used said, "Hey fascist, catch," followed by up arrow symbol, right arrow symbol, and 3 down arrow symbols.
That one pisses me off because I know exactly what that is. I fucking love that video game, but that one pisses me off. That one actually re-triggered the age-old fucking argument of, do violent video games cause violent acts? There has been zero fucking correlation, zero scientific evidence to support that question and make the answer say yes. There has been zero fucking evidence that shows what these fucking stupid-ass news outlets have been saying in regard to that. And that genuinely pisses me off. They just keep asking that fucking question. Like, I have been playing Halo and Call of Duty and all these super violent video games since I was 9 years old. Have I ever said I wanted to shoot somebody? Fuck no.
I've been playing Mortal Kombat since I was 6 years old. And not once have I ever said that I ever wanted to shoot somebody.
Fucking goddamn it. There's just so much about this fucking country that pisses me off. I love my country. I will do whatever I can to fucking defend it, but there's so much about it that pisses me off. Now, mind you, I'm an American. I can say that.
But Ian, it gets better. Because that was not the bullet that was used. So the second bullet that was also not used was one that said Bella Ciao Bella Ciao, 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 Ciao. That one was not the one that was used.
It's an Italian
Which,
anti-fascist song. And I actually, without looking up the definition, I need to hear a question before you get on to what the actual casing that was used says. I want to hear, what is the definition of fascist?
okay. So let's
Before
pull
I
up.
pull it
What
up.
was it? So hold on, I'm gonna pull it up actually. So let's look this up. So, hmm,
Let's see. I'm going to use the Merriam Webster definition for this. So, according to Merriam Webster dictionary, the term
oh, hold
has.
on.
Oh, what's up?
So in actually use your definition and then I'll use simple terms for everybody else that doesn't understand what big words mean.
That's funny. So, the definition, according to Merriam Webster dictionary, is. Let's see. Where the. It doesn't. Here we go. Because for whatever fucking reason, it's just giving examples or synonyms. Fucking often fascism, a populist political philosophy, movement, or regime such as that of fascisti that exalts nation and often race above the individual, that is associated with centralized autocratic government headed by a dictatorial leader, and that is characterized by severe economic and social regimentation and by forcible suppression of opposition. By definition, no singular fucking politician or political activist is a fascist. Because additionally, the whole belief of fascism from Italy is that it is a single political party that is very progressive, meaning they are always looking to better their nation. You are confusing, and here's the really funny part, a lot of people confuse this, are confusing fascism with nationalism. Admittedly, as much as we are technically a democratic republic, we are showing a lot of signs of nationalism, which is fucking wild because guess who is a nationalist country?
Last time I checked, the United States is also known as a nation.
Yeah. So guess who was the like a really well-known nationalist country? Germany during the 1930s and 40s, prior to the end of World War II. I fucking hate that that's happening. We as a people have the power to change that. There's things called petitions for a reason. If you get enough signatures on it and it is a movement that will actually better your people, better the people of the country, and you have enough signatures, it doesn't matter what kind of power the politician holds. They have to uphold what that is. And that is by definition from the Constitution itself. We have that right.
So in simple terms of what Ian ended up just putting down, it says fascist states are usually with a totalitarian one-party states or a group of people which prey on masses of angry, optimized and desperate individuals to make them united behind a strong man or group who promises them a utopia and revenge on those who may have harmed them.
Guess who's not that?
And on top of that, you guys are also talking about fascists. Which here's the other thing: you guys ended up taking revenge on somebody who you think may have harmed them.
Guess what? That's a 180. Go fuck yourself, Tyler. Sorry. Got a little heated there.
But in the wise words of a therapist that once ended up putting this putting this in my way of saying that if you are going to point the fingers at somebody else, just know that there are four other fingers pointing back at you.
That's why I use a knife hand.
There you go. So the final, the final pacing, the one that was actually used by him, the one that struck Charlie Kirk in his neck.
I just read it. I just fucking read it.
Was noticing bulges. Ooh woo. What's this?
You're missing one. Wait,
there's one more.
Oh, yeah, there is one more. But that one's actually really funny. If you read this, you're gay, Lamau.
So that was that was the fourth one. So imagine how Charlie Kirk would end up feeling knowing that one, he just got shot with first off by a furry. Secondly, by a bullet that ended up having that on the casing. I'm not sure about you, but since the fact is that we're talking about gaming references right now, I would be clutching so hard in the gulag right now just for the opportunity to come back.
No, honestly, I'm not a religious person, but I know he was, right? I can just imagine he's sitting up there at the clouds looking down at all this shit, and when like he has got access to like seeing the internet and everything, he goes, that's kind of funny. Because like I've seen a couple of clips of him actually responding to some memes and he's laughing at them.
If you didn't know, at both before he died, for a while, he actually ended up having for his icon on all of his social media was the South Park episode where it made fun of him as Eric Cartman playing him in a South Park episode.
Fuck it. And okay, here, this actually kind of brings on the whole fucking... There's so much shit that goes on with South Park, and it's really funny. I just got to talk about this briefly. South Park makes fun of everybody, regardless of what their political standing is. And that's so much funnier.
Oh my lord, dude. One thing that I thought was really funny about the whole South Park thing, which they actually ended up doing this with our current people, which was a few episodes back in earlier seasons. It showed Saddam Hussein and Satan having like this like relationship, right? They did the same thing for Donald Trump and JD.
Episode 1 of this season, the current season as of recording, they made a reference. They actually did that. And they even, that video they played at the end was so fucking funny. We're going to have to talk about that later on another episode.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So, continuing on with
and first off, I would like to I would like to say an apology to the police officer that ended up having to read the fourth bullet that wasn't used, saying that if you're reading this, you're gay.
Imagine if he was, though.
That would even be funnier.
No, I just imagine he's reading. He goes,
he's looking at it.
No.
He's looking at it. He's like reading it. And he's like, damn straight. Oh my god!
Passing police officer.
Oh lord! But on top of that, since that he ended up getting into custody and everything else along those lines, so let's kind of talk about how he ended up getting into custody. So there's a lot of rumors spreading about what was it? What ended up happening involving that? Saying that it was his family that ended up, throwing him under the bus. It was his dad that ended up turning him in. And there was also a whole other talk about a youth pastor that ended up, bringing him in after his dad talked to him about it. So, on the fact check on that was that, and what that I have read on news outlets through USNBC and through the New York Post was that it was his dad. After he reported it to his dad went to a youth pastor that was at the church that they went to, and they talked about it. And both the youth pastor and the father both went to the authorities and turned him in. Which, first off, good on the father for holding his son accountable. Because Lord knows that maybe he was able to eventually end up getting caught regardless of it, which they already confirmed from the roommate of the Discord chats that were in there, that he was planning on doing this for about a couple weeks prior to this. So regardless of it, do I think that he would have ended up getting caught? Yes. Eventually he would have. Bad guys don't pay. Well, bad guys pay eventually.
I wish I would have had that as a soundboard option. Anyway, so okay, the sound, I'll have to fill you in on that later. Anyway, so the New York Times posted a story in regard to Mr. Robinson, and it was, the headline states, after Kirk's killing, suspect joked that his doppelganger did it. Before his arrest on suspicion of carrying out the assassination, 22-year-old Tyler Robinson sent friends messages showing that he was closely following the news about the killing. The day after he was killed, or Charlie Kirk was killed, an acquaintance of Tyler Robinson posed a question to him in a group chat. The FBI had just released 2 grainy surveillance images of a skinny man in a cap and sunglasses walking in a stairwell at a Utah Valley University campus, and it asked the public's help for identifying the suspect. Tagging Mr. Robinson, his username on Discord, a messaging platform, the acquaintance attached the images and wrote WYA, where you at, with a skull emoji, suggesting that Mr. Robinson, 22, looked like the man being sought, and Mr. Robinson replied within a minute, his doppelganger wrote, was trying to get me in trouble. And then
what are your personal thoughts on that, bud?
Considering the fact that his friend group called him out on this, for one, is kind of funny. I'm reading here, there's another person in that same group chat joked that he's like, oh my god, he did it. And it was later than that the FBI caught him, because they caught him, what, the day after? Because they chased him.
And well, so the county police ended up picking up on him. And the reason being why he ended up getting caught was because he confessed the entire thing to his father. So the way that ends up looking at that he's throwing it off as a doppelganger means that was a severe lack of accountability on his side.
It's either a lack of accountability or trying to get his friends not fucking involved.
Regardless of it is that somebody got involved. And good news is that for the fact is that after he got arrested, President Trump immediately went out and said that we are going to be giving him the death penalty with zero possibility of getting out. Which, by the way, kind of ironic, the Utah state death penalty still uses firing squad.
Karma's a bitch if they were to do that. I'm just saying, if they were to do that, Karma would be a bitch.
Which, by the way, there was a whole other thing that I've seen going around the entire internet. It was a saying that the leader of the FBI it ended up saying "See you in Valhalla," and then now there's a meme going around stating that they're trying to push to get him to have the Blood Eagle instead of doing that. I can promise you that is not true. It is a meme. I can promise you that. Yep. No matter what side of the spectrum on, if you think that he deserves it or not, however, it's an inhumane punishment. They're not going to push for that. Oh, no. But however, does he deserve what was coming to him? Absolutely. Okay, but regardless of that,
once again,
make sure that you have your facts in check and make sure that you're actually doing your proper research before you believe something on the internet.
Of course. Now, once again, I'd like to remind everybody, it is 100% okay to have your own views and beliefs on different topics. It is 100% okay to, in regard to those beliefs, challenge other people on their beliefs, and at the same time, be willing to have yourself be challenged. Because if you're going to challenge someone on their beliefs, if you can't defend your own beliefs and you get butthurt about people challenging yours, you probably shouldn't be challenging other people. Just saying. On another note, you are entitled to your opinion. You're entitled to your beliefs. 100%. Just don't let your beliefs be the reason that you end up taking somebody's life.
Which leads me into my next topic here, where in every wise words of every single military member that I've ever met, I'm going to piggyback off that. Goddamn. So, you are entitled to have your own beliefs. You are entitled to have your own opinions. And you are entitled to believe and voice those opinions. But however, if you are going to voice those opinions, make sure that you have the responsibility and the accountability to take responsibility of the consequences that come with said opinions that you decided to voice. Because everywhere after the Charlie Kirk shooting, that was even the same day. Y'all didn't even wait a day. Y'all went onto the internet and voiced your opinion on how you felt about it. I'm not going to point out any names. I'm not going to point out anybody I'm not going to out anybody on anything that you may have said. All I do know is that I have seen your videos. I have seen your names. I have done research on you. And on a few of y'all, several people have decided to hold you accountable when you did not want to be held accountable to your own actions. In which to I say that if you are going to do that, do not be surprised when consequences come knocking at your door. If you are going to voice your opinion and you are going to voice how you personally feel about it, do so. But understand that this is where your consequences are going to end up leading you. Personally, for me, I think it is a very disgusting and a very disrespectful way to voice your opinion. Coming from somebody who has been in the military, who has been in positions where I have done things where I am not proud of doing. But regardless of that, you should not be going and actively celebrating someone who you did not see eye to eye on. Regardless of your background, regardless of your beliefs, regardless of your ideology, regardless of what you think that you can run your life on. All I do know is that if you did celebrate and you did voice those ideologies and everything that you decide to put out on the internet and you decide to put it out on public platforms, I will hopefully be praying for you that you will be learning from the lesson that will be soon coming to your way. But regardless of it, you've earned it.
I would like to once again piggyback off of that exact thing. If you are a military service member that celebrated this, be advised. There have been multiple commands, regardless of branch, that have legitimately just been kicking out the motherfuckers that celebrated this assassination. Zero warning, nothing. They are kicking you the fuck out. Me personally,
Half the time, they're not even taking you to Captain's Mass either. They are they are literally sending you to the MAs. The MAs are taking that. The CO of your command will be notified, and they will ask for a immediate discharge of you out of the U.S. military.
Mhm.
Enlisted officers and everyone in between. It does not matter what you have done. It does not matter what awards you may have received. It does not matter how many lives that you may have saved or spared in your entire time in the U.S. service. You will be kicked out on a general under honorable discharge. And depending on the CO, you may also end up getting sent out on a dishonorable discharge.
So keep in mind that the things you can, or the things you say can and will be used against you in the military. It's much like the Miranda rights, but guess what? Unless it is a civilian police officer, as i.e., not a military police officer, arresting you, you do not have access to Miranda rights. Just saying.
Coming from somebody who has been arrested on base and has been arrested by military police, they will not read you Miranda rights.
Nope. So
and for people that want to try and come after me in the comment section and say that you shouldn't believe anything that I say, or think that I'm a piece of shit because I am a Christian, but I am also not a good Christian because I have been arrested, I do want to let you know Jesus was also an outlaw.
Yep. All right. So this series is going to be relatively shorter compared to what the normal podcast is. So all of the episodes are going to be like half as long or otherwise shorter than that than our normal podcast. Gonna go ahead and plug that here. But I would like to have everybody know that this, like the whole fact checkers thing, is more than likely just going to be Mac and I. It's not going to be anything different. It's just talking about world events and stuff like that. It's gonna. Honestly, I'd love for this to be weekly. Thoughts on that, Mac?
Oh yeah,
all right.
Absolutely.
Looks like it's going to be weekly. But once again, I would like to thank each and every one of you for stopping in, listening into the episode, that kind of thing.
Ian, before we close out,
Yes.
I would love to ask you about your personal opinion. When they do put him up on death trial, Tyler Robinson, when they do put him up on his death penalty, and they have him standing at the post, or they have him standing there at lethal injection or anything along those lines. What do you think his last words are going to be? Do you think he's going to show remorse for it and say, "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done this"? Do you think that he would say that he deserved it? Or do you think that he would say, "Ruh-roh, Raggy"?
You had to make a joke, you motherfucker.
He came from the furry community. You know how I feel about this.
legitimately, there are 3 categories I found every furry to have met, right? I don't know where he stands because I don't personally know the motherfucker. I would hope that he shows remorse. But knowing how everybody who celebrated this attack has responded, I don't care. I genuinely won't care. So, that said, fuck him. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it has been a pleasure to have had this conversation. Hopefully, we can get you guys' input on the whole situation in the comment section below. We're not going to be doing a response video for this series. We're not going to be doing a response video based off of your guys' comments. However, if we will be jumping into the comment section, responding to each of those comments, just because it saves us on time and we don't have to come back and make a response video to what's going on and checking the facts. So, once again, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you all have had a relatively interesting time listening to what our perspective on this whole situation is, and wish you all a very, very lovely day. Have a good one, everybody.
Later.